In this video, we're going to get back to work on the pony motor from our Model R. We're going to get everything prepped and ready for that crank to go back in. So stick with me and I'll walk you through what we're going to do. So this week we got some goodies in the mail. We got the majority of our parts that we need to put that pony back together. Now I got word that my crankshaft should be done late this week and should be coming back to me early next week. So my goal today is to get everything ready for that crank to come back in. So here's all of our gaskets and everything else that we got here. So I was a little disappointed. The comprehensive pony motor kit offered by John Deere and Green Parts Store isn't quite as comprehensive as you'd think. It was missing the timing cover gasket and the, show you over here, the gasket here for the water inlets and outlets on both sides. It had this one up here, but it didn't have the ones down there, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and get those separately, but everything else is there. So I got this stuff from a combination of Steiner tractor with my throwout bearing for the pony there. Like I said, Green Parts Store and H&J Machining came through with a lot of the other stuff too, with the piston rings and some of that other stuff. So I think we got everything. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get this throwout bearing put in the pony motor transmission. So I'll jump over there in a second and I'll show you how that's done. So here's where we're at. Looking at the service manual, it's saying the release bearing and collar assembly will slide off the shoulder and the clutch housing after the springs holding the sleeve to the fork are unhooked. See figure 210-10-4 up there. Notice right here you can see a little retaining spring. Okay, so look at mine. Oops, I'll go this way. It's supposed to be up here. I don't see any sort of retaining spring. So I'm like, all right, well maybe this is a different model. I mean, someone can comment below if I'm not understanding something, but here's what I wound up doing. I wound up taking off the side assembly here that goes over to the gearbox that goes over to where it engages the flywheel on the big motor. So in order to do that, all I had to do was unbolt these 4 bolts here. They are 1/2 inch, and take out a cotter pin holding this linkage to this right here, and this slid right out. Now you can see there's a old red RTV in there, so someone's been in here before. I'm not really sure why, none of my relatives know why, so it must have been an owner before my great-grandpa had it. But anyways, so now, when I go ahead right here, I can actually grab my throwout bearing assembly and pull it off. So that's out. I noticed here too that this thing was quite a bit low on oil. I never knew there was a dipstick on this, still learning about these tractors, so now I know there's something else I gotta monitor here, but it was pretty low on oil. So I'll go ahead and get all that RTV cleaned out, all that old oil cleaned out, put some fresh stuff on. I obviously don't have a gasket for this, so I'll just try to put some RTV on there to hold it together, but now we're going to go ahead and get that that throwout bearing freed up from the rest of the assembly, so I'll show you when we get that done. Alright, so what I did was I took my bearing and race driver seal set I got from Harbor Freight, Maddox brand. First time using it, seemed to work pretty good, but I clamped the throwout bearing in the vise and gave her pretty much just 2 swift wraps with the hammer and it popped right out. So now I'm gonna get the new throwout bearing installed and I'll show you how I do that. Now there's a right way and a wrong way to do this, and this is definitely not the right way, but it's the only means I have available. So you're probably supposed to have this bearing pressed on there. I don't have a press, I don't have access to a press. Yes, I have a vise, but it's not a big surface, so I don't know that I'd be able to get it pressed on there properly. So what I'm going to do, first off, I took a dose of assembly lube and I put it around there just to help this slide on easier. So I'm going to set my bearing on there. Oh, side note, the ear or flange on this bearing goes up, out, away from the transmission towards the engine. Okay, so anyways, got that on there. You don't want to pound directly on that bearing surface. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this piece of flat metal I had laying around here. I'm going to lay it across here. I'm going to give it a few whaps with the dead blow and see if I can get that to seat. So again, not the right way to do it, but it's the method I have. So I may wind up damaging this bearing, but we'll see. see, actually that worked pretty good. It looks like it's seated properly, it's spinning. Oh, we still have a high side over here, so I'm going to give it a couple whaps over there to get that side seated. So here we go. Let's see where we're at. Yep, that's still high. Try it again. I'm getting close though. Try a different angle here, see if that helps. Ooh, there, I think we got it. Ooh, almost. We're getting real close now. Okay. There, I think we're in. Bearing's still moving freely. I don't think I dented it at all, so I think we got lucky there, but that's the way I did it. If someone else has a way of doing this without the use of a press, please let me know. I'd be very interested, but this is the way I managed to do it. So we'll get everything back installed, and I'll show you that process here. So we'll see you in a minute. All right, we're going to slide our throw bearing assembly back on here too. Okay, so notice in this picture, or in this video, the forks are pointed up. We've got the half circle on the back of that assembly there. So it's going to go like this with the you know, double, call it the pulley, whatever, slot facing up and the half portion facing down. So I'm going to go over here to the other side. I'm going to reach down here, pull up on my lever to shift my forks forward. I'm going to slide my assembly on there, making sure to get the forks in the notches there, and there we go. It slides down and now it's seated home. You can see it slides as it's supposed to. Bearing turns nice. So already got all the old oil out of there. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean up this surface. I'm going to try to preserve as much of that gasket as possible. Throw some new RTV on there and put everything together. I also did take a look at our, you can see that there, but I'm gonna took a look at the other bearing that's in there. That's super solid. Everything's good. The teeth on these gears all look pretty good. So everything else seems pretty healthy in there. So I'm not sure what was fixed in the past, but it still appears to be holding up here. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get this all thrown back together, and we'll show you when it's done. Stay tuned. All right, I got everything back together, and it seems to be working properly. So our clutch fork is sliding in and out as it should. It's moving our engagement here for our starter. Our gears are turning on both ends, and I don't know if we can see that or not, but our overrunning clutch, well, I can't show you. Need two hands, but it is working properly. So I did just learn something too. I never had to take off this assembly here. Just by removing this pin right here, I would be able to flip that fork up enough, to get that assembly off. So, oh well, learned something new here. Hopefully it helps somebody else out doing this same job, but yeah, that's that. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put the proper oil in there. I gotta look up what that is, but I'll let you know in just a minute. All right, so the operator's manual says to use SAE 30, approximately 1 quart in that pony motor transmission, but SAE 30 is hard to find around here. I don't have it, so I'm actually going to use SAE 15W40, same as I'm going to use in everything else on here. So just so you know, that's what I'm going to use. You can hate if you want to hate, but that's what's going in there. And as little as this motor gets used, I'm sure it'll be just fine. So that's what I'm going to do. Throw 1 quart of that in there, and then we'll move on to the next step here. All right, I got our oil in there. And here's our dipstick. You can see it's full of fresh oil, so we're all good. So I'm going to tighten that down off camera. But our next step, we're going to move on over to the pony motor here. And our goal for the rest of the day here is to get all of these gasket surfaces cleaned up. Take our heads, pull off the old head gaskets, get those all cleaned up. Basically make this as spotless as we can. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to hone the cylinders. So I'm not going to bore you with all that. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a razor blade and carb cleaner and just get to work all over this thing here. So it's going to take me a bit, but then I'll catch you up when I'm done. I'll show you the results. So stay tuned. All right, we've got our gasket surfaces all cleaned up. You can see there's a little bit of goo-goo dripping down there still, but we're going to go ahead later on and give it a final rinse. But everything's looking pretty good. Cleaned out the inside of the cylinders. Our valve chambers there were really gunked up with stuff, so we got those pretty clean. Looking pretty good over here. So now our next step is to hone. So I've slid my camshaft back in there just to keep my valve train all steady while I'm doing this. I'm gonna have to tip the block up on its end there, but what I got is a flex hone. This one is suitable for a 2.6-inch bore, what we have here. So it recommends using 1030 oil as lubricant. So we've got to get this thing saturated with 1030 oil, and then we'll go ahead and get to work. It's recommending checking the crosshatch every couple of strokes just to make sure that we are where we are, but ultimately the goal is to take that surface and have it have a 45-degree crosshatch all the way around. So shouldn't take much. It says it shouldn't take more than 20 to 30 seconds per cylinder, so I'll set up the tripod and you can see how I do this. So give me just a moment. All right, so here's my rig. Got my block propped up here so I can get a good angle at it. I poured some of my oil into that little tray there, and I made myself basically a dip tray. Got my hand drill set on low RPM, so we're going to go ahead and give this a whirl. So I've already given the cylinder a light coat of oil. I'm going to go ahead and rotate my hone in here to get it completely saturated. Go both directions just to be sure. There we go, we're all full of oil. Now we're going to take the hone and insert it into the cylinder while moving, not still, so while rotating. And we're going to make full strokes in and out so that it goes through the back side and comes out the front side. And we're going to do that for about 10 or 15 strokes and then take a look at the bore and see how it looks. So, all right, here we go. I'm going to take my inspection light here, see how it looks. Definitely removing some material. Not looking too bad there. We'll give it a little bit more. We're going to go the opposite direction this time. So we'll give it a little bit more and then we'll see where we're at. Here, I'll get a little bit more oil on our hone and we'll go again. All right, let me go and grab a clean cloth and wipe that off and take a look. So I'll show you how it looks. All right, we'll attempt to show you what we got going on here. So yeah, you can see it pretty good through the camera. So you can see we got a good crosshatch going there, nice 45-degree both directions. There's a few drag marks in there yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and wipe everything out, spray it out quick, and then go one more round and see if we can get those drag marks out. But it's actually looking really good. So stay tuned and I'll show you the next round. All right, we've got everything wiped out, cleaned out, and applied oil again back in the cylinder. I'm going to reapply oil to my hone, and we're going to go for round two. So I'm going to go about 10 strokes one direction, 10 strokes the other direction, and then call it a day. All right, here we go. Other direction. All right, let me clean that out again and then I'll show you how it looks. So give me just a moment. All right, here we are. There, as you can see, that looks really good. Barely any drag marks in there, but I think we're gonna leave that as it is. That looks really good. It's way better than it was. So now what you're supposed to do is take some soapy water and wipe that all out and then put a coat of oil. I don't like putting soapy water on bare metal components because I feel like it invites the opportunity to rust. So I'm going to go ahead and spray it with the carb cleaner real quick, wipe it out, get all the metal remnants out of there from the honing process, then spray it down with a coat of oil. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and set up the other side and do that side. Now I'm not going to show you that because it's going to be the exact same thing I just did, but I will show you the results to show you how that one turned out. So just give me a moment and I will show you the results. All right, side number 2 is done. Hopefully you can see that. Yep. Nice crosshatch going in there. Again, barely any drag marks. I followed the exact same process as the other side, so I think we're honed. Now we'll just go ahead and give this block one more once over with a bunch of carb cleaner to get the remnants of the honing process out of there, and get everything a nice light coating of oil to make sure that we preserve everything before our crank comes in. So, well, thank you all for watching. Hopefully this helped out, and there's going to be more to come here because we got a lot more work to do. So, take care.